So today we're going to talk about something that I don't know if you classify it as crime, but it is something that is very, 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 I almost said super dear to my heart. And this is the Superman curse. If it's not your thing, I totally understand. Feel free to click out of this video, but someone does die. I love Superman. I love Superman. I have been to the museum in Metropolis, Illinois, where I shook like a giddy child because I was so excited to be there. I have pictures in front of the Superman statue. I have like 15 Superman shirts and hats, and I was actually going to tattoo the Superman symbol on my person. I've loved Superman for so many years. It started off with an obsession with Tom Welling from Smallville. He is probably the most beautiful creature I've ever seen. But then, I realized that I was a Superman fan when I actually watched the Superman movie with Brandon Routh. Now, I don't think that Brandon Routh really looks like Superman, but if you've ever seen that movie where they shoot him and the bullet bounces off of his eyeball, and I just thought it was so cool, I realized that I am actually a Superman fan. So if you research this, it's just a lot of unexplained occurrences that go along with people that have actually worn the Superman suit. So I'm just gonna dive right in. Again, I'm not offended if it's not your thing, but maybe you'll learn something new. So the Superman curse refers to a series of supposedly related misfortunes that have plagued creative people involved in adaptations of Superman in various media, particularly actors who have played the actual role of Superman on film and in television. The curse is often evoked wherever misfortune is experienced by actors and other personnel who work on the Superman adaptations. So much so that some talent agents cite the curse as the reason for the difficulty in casting actors in the role. A more specific explanation for the alleged curse is that, given the high number of people involved in the many adaptations and treatments of the Superman story over the years, a number of significant misfortunes would inevitably accrue, as they do in any substantial sampling of random individuals. But the following actors who have played Superman have sometimes been cited as victims of the Superman curse. Kirk Alyn played Superman in 2 low-budget 1940 serial films, but failed to find work afterwards because he was too closely identified in the role. He was relegated to voiceovers, commercials, and uncredited screen roles. He later appeared as Lois Lane's father in the 1978 Superman film. He had Alzheimer's later in his life, and he died in 1999 at the age of 88. Now, some might think, oh, well, that's not too big of a deal, but it actually becomes a common theme that people cannot find work after they have been cast as Superman. I know it's not necessarily a curse like Daniel Radcliffe in Harry Potter. Like, he will always be Harry Potter. Anyway, stick with me, okay? Bud Collyer voiced the first Superman cartoon from 1941 to 1943. He went on to enjoy a career in TV, hosting the game show To Tell the Truth. He returned to Superman by voicing the New Adventures of Superman for CBS in 1966. But 3 years later, he died of a circulatory ailment at the age of 1961. I'm pretty sure that this was a blood fingerprints were found on the gun. Not even George's. No gunpowder residue was found on his hands. Some sources said that it may not have been looked for, as gunshot residue wasn't routinely performed in 1959. But the bullet that killed him was recovered from the bedroom ceiling, and the spent shell casing was found underneath him. 2 additional bullets were discovered embedded in the bedroom floor. All 3 of the bullets had been fired from the weapon found at his feet, although they were having a party in his house that night, and all of the witnesses agree that they only ever heard 1 gunshot. There was no sign of forced entry or other physical evidence that ruled that a second person was in the room, but what do you think? His death was officially ruled a suicide. I don't know if I believe that one, but everybody knows who Christopher Reeve is, and most of you probably know what happened to him, but I didn't actually know how he passed away, so I'm going to tell you about it. Christopher Reeve is iconically Superman in my head. He just is, and I'm sure many of you agree with that. I know we have a new generation of Henry Cavill fans, and if Henry Cavill was not cast in these movies, I don't know who would play Superman right now. I don't know what actor they could cast that would be as close to iconically looking like Superman. Please, I would love to hear your suggestions. Of course, you know I wanted it to be Tom Welling, as we've said. We'll talk about that later, but Henry Cavill did an excellent job. We're going to talk about him some more. Anyway, Christopher Reeve played Superman / Clark Kent in the Superman film series, Superman the movie, Superman 2, Superman 3, and Superman 4. I own all of them. I watched them so many times. Like Kirk Allen, Christopher Reeve was so closely identified with the character that it was difficult for him to acquire leads in other films. He was largely relegated to Superman and supporting roles. He broke his neck in a horseback riding accident. This was believed to be the result of the Superman curse. However, he made the best of his misfortune, and he began a campaign for the advancement of medical technology and stem cell research. As a result of such research, he slowly began to gain some functionality and demonstrated the ability to move one of his fingers, which is pretty freaking awesome to me. On October 9th of 2004, he went into cardiac arrest after receiving an antibiotic. It was being used to treat an infection he had from a pressure sore that was causing sepsis. He fell into a coma after that, and on October 10th, he passed away at the age of 52. It is believed that an adverse reaction to the antibiotic they were giving him was the cause of death. There are other alleged victims of the Superman curse that did not actually play Superman, so we're going to talk about those now. Marlon Brando, who played Jor-El, which Jor-El is Superman, who is Kal-El's father. If you don't know your Superman lore, you're probably not watching this, but anyway. He played Jor-El in the 1978 film, and missing for several days and was found by the police in a paranoid, delusional state. She dismissed the notion of a curse and remarked in a 2002 interview that the newspaper created all this rubbish and the idea cracked her up. What about the luck of Superman? When my car crashed this August, if I hadn't hit a telephone pole after rolling 3 times, I would have dropped down 50 feet into a ravine. Why don't people focus on that? Margot Kidder passed away May 13th, 2018 in Montana after a drug and alcohol overdose. And her death was ruled a suicide, and I cried. I'm telling you, like, I tear up just thinking about it. Superman is such a positive aspect of my life. The fact that she committed suicide when she's such a important figure in my, like, it hurts my heart because I want to go talk to her and just tell her that that's not the way. That it's not the way. Anyway. Oh, I just get all rambled up. Comedian Richard Pryor, who previously had a drug addiction that led to a near-fatal suicide attempt, starred as the villain Gus Corman in 1983's Superman 3, but later took Superman's side near the end of the movie and became a hero. 3 years later, he announced that he was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, or MS, and he died of cardiac arrest on December 10th of 2005 at age 65. Dana Reeve, the widow of actor Christopher Reeve, gets mentioned when the curse is brought up occasionally. She, despite being a non-smoker, died of lung cancer in 2006 at the age of 44. Jerry Siegel and Joel Shuster are the writer and the artist who co-created Superman. They sold the rights of their creation to DC Comics for a relatively small amount of money, in contrast to the amount of money that Superman has generated over the decades. Despite repeated efforts over the course of the rest of their lives to recover legal ownership of Superman and to share in the immense profits that the character brought for DC Comics, DC's copyright on the character was renewed. By the 1950s, Joel Shuster's worsening eyesight prevented him from drawing, and he worked as a delivery man in order to earn a living. Jerry Robinson claimed that Shuster had delivered a package to the DC building, embarrassing the employees. He was summoned to the CEO, given $100, told to buy a new coat and find another job. By 1976, Shuster was almost blind and living in a California nursing home. In 1975, Jerry Siegel launched a publicity campaign in which Joel Shuster participated, protesting DC Comics' treatment of him and Shuster. In the face of a great deal of negative publicity over the handling of the affair, and with the new Superman movie coming soon, DC's parent company, Warner Communications, reinstated the byline dropped more than 30 years earlier and granted the pair a lifetime pension of $20,000 a year, plus health benefits. The first issue with restored credit was Superman number 302 in August of 1976. Jerry Siegel died in 1996 and Joe Shuster in 1992. I am happy to say that they do put their names in movies now, and that makes me so proud. I can't imagine creating such a big, iconic character and not getting credit for it. Brothers Max and Dave Fleischer of Fleischer Studios, who produced the Paramount Superman cartoons, began to quarrel with one another disaster. After selling off Paramount Studios, the new owners fired the two brothers, and one of them died in poverty. I feel like that's kind of reaching, but I had to mention it because I'm putting everyone who was mentioned on here. Kate Bosworth played Lois Lane in Superman Returns, and she got to fly with Superman, and I'm so jealous. Although she did not suffer any physical attacks, accidents, or illness, her romantic relationship with one Orlando Bloom ended in 2006, which she blames on the Superman curse. I couldn't find out why. I find that's kind of weird, but told you I was going to mention everybody, so there we be. The DVD crew of Superman Returns. The curse was invoked after 3 people involved in the creation of Superman Returns were injured. One of them fell down a flight of stairs, another was mugged and physically assaulted, and the third smashed into a plate glass window. Director Bryan Singer remarked that his DVD crew absorbed the curse for them. This next one is the last victim of the curse that I'm going to talk about, and it's actually really painful for me to talk about because I love her. And then I found out this, and it's anyway, okay. Allison Mack, who played Chloe Sullivan on the TV series Smallville, was accused of sex trafficking and forced human labor. She was arrested on April 18th for these charges, and it is speculated that this is related to the curse. I love the character Chloe Sullivan on Smallville. She is actually one of the only characters that they created and kept through all 10 seasons that wasn't in the comics originally. She was added to the comics later on, but I just love Chloe Sullivan. I love her story and her character arc, and I love Allison Mack's hair through all the series, and it broke my heart to know that she was arrested for this. I haven't really read anything that says if she knew what she was doing or didn't. How do you not know? I don't know. I've seen, people have released text messages that she has sent them, and it breaks my heart because I loved her as Chloe Sullivan. When you watch a show for so long and there's so many episodes, it's silly, and maybe I'm the only one that ever does this, but they're family. And then something like this happens and you're like, what? Anyway, again, I am a nerd. So, of course, there are some Superman actors that are not generally believed to have become victims of the curse. Yet. Dean Cain. He became a household name in early to mid-1990s for his portrayal of Superman/Clark Kent in Lois and Clark: The New Adventures of Superman. He went on to have various roles in shows such as Frasier and Law & Order, as well as made-for-TV movies. He has guest appearances in 2 other Superman-related shows, including Smallville, as the villainous Dr. Curtis Knox, and he has a recurring role in Supergirl as the title character's foster father, Jeremiah Danvers. He is great. I've met Dean Cain too, and it was really cool. I wasn't as excited about it as Margot Kidder or Michael Rosenbaum, who plays Lex Luthor on Smallville. I just about fainted when I met Michael Rosenbaum. My best friend thought I was an absolute nutcase. But you see these people on TV for so long, and like I said, they're like family, and Michael Rosenbaum is so funny, and I didn't want to get up in front of him and act like an idiot, so I was like, oh god, what do I say? Yep, acted like an idiot. Anyway, Brandon Routh. curse. He stated that what occurs to one person or a set of people will not necessarily occur to everyone, and he will not live his life in fear. He eventually played Ray Palmer on other DC Comics related projects, and he is a recurring character in Arrow and The Flash. And the dog's awake. He's a regular in the spin-off series Legends of Tomorrow, and occasionally his role as Superman is referenced in the Arrowverse. I don't really watch that show. I really should, but I, again, am so attached to the Smallville characters that seeing other people play them is kind of odd. Henry Cavill, who plays Superman in the 2013 film Man of Steel, the 2016 sequel Batman vs. Superman, and the 2017 sequel Justice League, said that he doesn't believe there's a curse and that incidents thought to be evidence of it are explained by bad luck. I literally lost my mind when I watched him put on that suit for the first time and learn to fly as Superman. I was in the theater in my Superman hoodie with it up on my face, like, screaming. Again, he is, I can't think of anyone else who would play Superman right now. Any actor that looks like Superman. So, the very last person that we're going to talk about is, of course, my favorite one, Mr. Tom Welling. Now, some people say that Tom Welling is excused from the Superman curse because officially he never put on the suit. The very last shot of Smallville is him pulling open the shirt for the iconic S, but you never see Tom Welling in the suit, which was actually really disappointing to me. I wanted that to be the last shot of the show, but I was satisfied with it. So people say that he never really played Superman. He was always only Clark Kent. He's Superman to me. So I don't necessarily agree. I know that the producers of Smallville really wanted that to be the case. They wanted him to be Clark Kent and not Superman. They were doing a show about the early years of Superman, so that's one of the reasons that they stopped the show, because they had a no tights, no flights rule. Tom Welling is engaged and just had his first baby. He has had a couple other here and there movies and stuff, but nothing really as big as Smallville, so if you want to put that down as part of the curse, you could. Anyway, I know this isn't necessarily the true crime videos that you're used to, but I thought that maybe some of you would enjoy it, and I could nerd out for a little about my favorite topic ever, Superman. One of my favorite topics ever. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me. If you're still here after listening to me fangirl over a fictional character, I appreciate you, and I will see you very, very, very soon. I'm gonna make sure it stops recording this time, by the way.